Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our NASCAR iRacing career mode on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. I hope you're ready for some Michigan racing here in the Cup Series and what is going to look like a late race at times here in Michigan. But before we dive into that, we have some Truck Series and Xfinity Series to focus on here as Michael Maroots would come through to pick up his first win in the Camping World Truck Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend. You can see quickly the points actually. Michael Maroots also leading the points over Bradley Cole and IDK player Jonathan Ramos. On the Xfinity side of things, it was Matt O'Brien winning his second race of his career here and debut season in the Xfinity Series. He as well leads the points after Iowa there by 8 points over AJ Allmendinger, Justin Allgaier, Lyndon Castle, Davin Cornelius, all within striking distance of him though as we come through into Michigan for myself here on the Cup Series side of things here in our rookie season, where we seem to be getting better and better as the season goes on, coming off of our first ever runner-up finish in the Cup Series in the last episode at Martinsville Speedway, where we could have maybe wrecked Kyle Busch to win that race but obviously didn't take it. But we don't back up that second place finish with a very good qualifying run because we qualified in 38th place here for Michigan. So we had a lot of work to do. Fortunately for us, this is a plate style race, at least on the restarts and the shorter to medium run. So you will see a lot of almost Daytona Talladega-esque racing, but still more separation in between. It's not going to be like a full-on pack races. We would get underway here in Michigan with Joey Logano leading the field to the green flag. Important to note, Logano, who was on fire, took off in the point lead. Obviously, things have completely switched. Kyle Busch now comes into Michigan with a 30 or so point lead in this race. He's going to need to have some form of issue to bring anybody into the mix at this point here, but all it takes is Joey Logano, Kyle Busch to run into issues, and we bring in another 6, 7, 8 drivers back into the mix, so it doesn't take much here. As you see Ryan Blaney, Logano seam it down into 3 and 4, trying to take the lead of this race. Penske Racing right now all up inside the top 3, and Austin Cindric a little bit further down the order. Unfortunately, Cindric's car would not load in this race. I think the only car that didn't load here now is the loading paint schemes. Has always been an issue here with iRacing career mode and trading paints, but hopefully we can slowly get it sorted out here in the future. Now Ryan Blaney though leads lap 1, but look at the sights and the scenes here. You're seeing a lot of 3 wide action. No, up front actually Hamlin and Keselowski make contact. Keselowski plows into the outside while a bunch of damage to the right side of that number 2 Verizon Ford Mustang here, and we're gonna cruise by on the inside. Keselowski's what's likely to be his final season at Penske Racing before he moves to RFK, which we will be following along with the 22 season storyline with this career mode. But a big moment right there for Brad Keselowski up front. You can see some more chaos there. I saw a car sideways. It was Kevin Harvick, and I believe Kyle Busch is actually having some form of issue as well. You see he's off the pace. You see Harvick's off the pace. We've just gained like 10 to 15 positions, I feel like, in a matter of half a lap here. So I would breeze by Kyle Busch as well, and we'll get a look at what happened to Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick here. You're actually going to see there was some contact with Sheldon Creed and that 18, and that shoved Kyle into the side of the 4, and you can see there's some right front damage on Kyle Busch's machine, but look, Fabiano actually got into the side of Creed, and that's what shot Kyle Busch up into the 4 of Kevin Harvick. So Ryan Blaney though, he was continuing to lead the way, but he was actually under attack with Tyler Reddick right there looking up the inside. Blaney would hold on for the time being, but he would not hold on long because Tyler Reddick sure enough would eventually take the lead of this race. But important to note, Kyle Busch, with the damage that he picked up here in these opening moments of this race, he had to come into the pit lane to repair that damage. So we were continuing on our own way, but a big moment for the points leader right there that could bring Joey Logano before this race is over back into the championship mix, depending on how his day goes, of course, here now, as I had actually been able to remain with this main pack. So here we are up inside the top 20 now. Actually a 3 wide move here down the front straightaway, closing in on 2 laps to go in stage 1 to the outside of Jay Cook, who's actually going to crowd us into the outside. Well, big contact with Cook, who just completely ran out of room, and into the wall we go. Damage on the car, and now I was pretty heated, of course, with that number 31. What a... Well, there you heard myself on the radio, and you saw the replay right there. I mean, I turned a little bit left, but I still got completely squeezed into the wall by that 31 of Jay Cook. I don't know what he was thinking here now as we would come through to start the final lap, by the way, now of Stage 1. Tyler Reddick, he would cruise to a Stage 1 victory. Fabiano, that was not a second for him. He was also in the pit lane for some damage that he had picked up. Ryan Blaney would be second. So as you guys know, we only get points for the stage winner here this season with this format, but we did announce in the last episode that we are going back to the current standings format, the points format that NASCAR uses in real life in the next season when we transition to the next gen AI there. As you can see, pretty split strategies in the pit lane. A lot of drivers pit, but we do have a handful of drivers as well as stay out, and they are gambling because in stage 2 we are going to be in a very tight position on field. So some of the drivers that stayed out are trying to pit at the beginning of stage 2 and then go all the way to the end, and then what we're going to do is we're basically going to pit probably in the midway to later stages of stage 2 and go to the end. So basically the situation is everybody has to pit here in stage 2. It's just really the split of when, because the drivers that stayed out like David Schotthaus, Kyle Larson, James Davison, Kevin Harvick, Sheldon Creed, etc., they all have to pit literally within the first 1 to 2 to 3 laps of the stage, or they will run out of field. But they also got to make sure they're not engulfed in this pack, and you can see that that's starting to happen to Sheldon Creed, Schotthaus, and James Davison, the 2 Rick Ware Racing drivers, and Daytona 500 winner from this season. James Davison is right up there in second. They stay out, but Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, they're going to dive down into the pit lane here, and you can see, look at the scenes 3 by 3 as we come through the tri-oval to cross the line to complete this first and opening lap, and even a mix of 4 wide. You got Michael Cozy Jr., William Byron, Austin Cindric, Haley, and then Daniel Suarez comes into the mix. But this is some incredible racing here in Michigan now, which is not what you expect to see, a pack race, but it is happening on these short runs. You guys, you cannot get away from each other on this circuit here now. As you can see up ahead in 3 and 4, David Schotthaus as well as James Davison, they were preparing to come into the pit lane, and so was at number 13 of Sheldon Creed. Now the only way that strategy really works for them is the race stays green to the end of the stage. If it doesn't stay green to the end of the stage, it's going to be completely game over for them, and they might get trapped 1 lap down. Now as Ryan Blaney would find himself now side by side with Tyler Reddick again for the lead here. Now as you see Larson and Harvick, they did go a lap down by pitting there. So you see Schotthaus, you see Creed and Davison all in the pit lane right now. Here is now I was trying to continue to move my way forward. So unfortunately at the end of the stage, fixing that damage that we picked up racing with Jay Cook, I had to go all the way to the back of the grid. So I was moving my way back throughout the pack once again here. Now as you see Larson and them, they're all going to go 1 lap down as well here, as we were 3 wide briefly down this back straightaway, actually 4 wide briefly here as we just continue to move forward now in this second stage. And I should mention stage 2 ends at the conclusion of lap 27, so a little bit over 10 laps to go at this point here. And like I said, we cannot make it to the end of the stage without coming into the pit lane here. So we are 3 wide there briefly with Bubba Wallace. Jay Cook, we got past him, and I actually passed him clean, unlike what he's able to do here usually now as we continue 3 wide with the 23 of Bubba Wallace. Now Chase Elliott on my outside. We've seen glimmers of hope with Chase Elliott this season, but we've also seen moments where he's really struggled, and here he is today in Michigan having a bit of a rough go so far on this 2-mile D-shaped oval here in Michigan. As we head down into 1 and 2 though, hopefully we can get out of this 3 wide scenario. Well, we pass Chase Elliott, we go to the outside of Alex Bowman, who struggles on the inside right there, and we have a fast car. We're proving that. We've gotten some speed in this number 1 traction Chevrolet Camaro for this Trackhouse Racing team. Daniel Suarez, our teammate's having a strong run so far here today in Michigan as well. He's had his ups and downs. We're in our rookie season, but we're beating our teammate of Daniel Suarez in the points right now. So, I mean, a heck of a debut season we are having, to say the least here now, as we were continuing to just scrap our way throughout this pack of cars. Now, you see on the top leaderboard, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, all multiple laps down. Those 3 drivers have one thing in common. They both picked up quite a bit of damage earlier in this race. So unfortunate for one of the Rookie of the Year contenders going against us of Ty Gibbs there, as we just continue to go forwards. But you see an accident right there. Michael Cozy Jr. gets turned around by, I believe that was the 41 of Cole Custer. The caution comes out, and that will ruin the strategy for everybody that pitted at the beginning of stage 2. As you can see what happened right there. Hamlin hits the 41 of Custer, and then the 14 of Briscoe has nowhere to go. A huge hit there on the front end for him, and the caution flies here from Michigan International Speedway. So we would pit 4 tires, fill it up with fuel, and we would exit the pit lane in a relatively competitive position here for the restart. And this would set us up for a simple 2-lap dash to determine the stage 2 conclusion here now, as we would have Cody Ware actually, I believe, up there in the mix, and so was Chase Elliott. So there was actually some gambles here on strategy here as they were trying to stretch it out on field, and so was Todd Gilliland and Ryan Newman. So 4 drivers risked it and stayed out on the track, and I can tell you right now, if they make it to the checkered here in stage 2, they're probably going to be running out on the cooldown lap heading back to the pit lane before we start the third and final stage here now. But it's going to be an all-out brawl. Todd Gilliland looking to, of course, be in a good position going into that third stage. Another Rookie of the Year contender against myself. Here comes Austin Cindric up the inside. Contact with Ryan Preece in the 37, but somehow they keep it clean and do not have a massive accident. That could have been huge at the front of the pack. But here I come in my number one machine here as we come through to start the final lap of stage one, and we have an opportunity to not win this stage, but I mean still set ourselves up pretty well for stage three. But I can tell you right now, we are going to have to pit again as soon as the stage is over, because that will put us in a relatively comfortable position going into this third and final stage, because with the way it is set up here, stage three, it's going to be very close to 2 pit stop final stage here now as we get this final lap back underway. Half a lap remaining here in stage two. Haley up my inside, a good run for him here for Colleague Racing. He's had a miserable season here for his first full-time season for Colleague Racing. Now as we're going to go to the outside of Denny Hamlin, but up front it's going to be Newman pitting, Cody Ware pitting as well. They can't make it. Chase Elliott though will hold off Tyler Reddick to win stage two, so 5 bonus points to Chase Elliott's name here as he tries and rebound at least to get into the championship battle. Caution comes out. We managed 5th place here in stage two. I mentioned the guys that stayed out might run out of fuel, and well, that would happen actually here to Todd Gilliland. Actually, he was running out of fuel, and I decided to be nice. I actually would pull in behind him and help him because I was afraid that if I passed him, they would penalize me. So I pushed him all the way to his pit box. We lost time to the top 2 drivers, so Chase Elliott basically had a free pit stop to go back and take the lead, and we would get back rolling here, getting ready to go green for this third and final stage. And we actually rode off in a pretty good position. We're going to be in the mix here in the top 5 and have an opportunity today to maybe win our first cup race. I've said that before. We have an opportunity to do it again here now as we would get underway from row number 2, P3, behind Austin Cindric and Tyler Reddick here now. And what's important to note here in stage 2 is once again the fuel situation. So we can basically go to the little bit past the midway point of stage 3. We can pit, but then it's going to be really, really close. So 1 lap differences of when the AI are pitting are going to make a huge difference here, because that's going to be the difference if you make it to the end of this race or not. Because if you pit at the latest possible lap on this fuel cycle here, you're going to have maybe 1 to 2 maximum laps extra of fuel to make it to the end of this race. But if you pit a lap or 2 early, then you're not going to make it to the end of this race. Simple as that. I should mention actually, Chase Elliott was not up front. He actually ran out of fuel as well when they were in the pit lane, so he actually found himself quite a ways back as well. Kyle Larson now on the pit lane there on the number 5 Valvoline machine in the pits. There's Ryan Newman. You see Chris Buescher, and there's Chase Elliott and the 19 of Christopher Mouse. So issues for all of those drivers here having a rough go now as we're all over the back of Justin Haley, giving him a huge bump draft down the back straight away. Tyler Reddick up here in the mix, and look at the differences today with this pack style race here in Michigan as well that is promoted, having new drivers up here in the mix. We've seen Joey Logano, we've seen Kyle Busch dominate this season, and we haven't seen any of them near the front today. Austin Cindric and myself side by side, going to give the big side draft actually to that number 33 machine here now as we're battling for 3rd and 4th. Haley going for the lead, and right now we are looking at a first time winner potentially here now. Cindric in this career mode hasn't won. Obviously we haven't won. Tyler Reddick hasn't won. Haley does have 1 win in a rain shortened Daytona race back in 2019. Daniel Suarez hasn't won. We are nearly guaranteed for a first time winner here today in Michigan if things keep the way they are, I should say. Now as you can see, some momentum lost on the inside from Haley. That would allow me to get back through into 3rd place, passing Daniel Suarez, who's having a tremendous run here today in that number 99 Camping World, or Good Sam Chevrolet Camaro, my Trackhouse teammate. And I would actually get passed by Daniel here now as you see Reddick way out of the groove here now, and we would just continue to try and work with Suarez, but unfortunately we actually lost time to Reddick, to Justin Haley and Austin Cindric, who was now out in front with 19 coming to 18 laps ago in this race. We come to 15 laps ago. Look at the top 3. They checked out. They drove away. The positions continued to swap around me. Cody Ware came up into the mix, but actually with the end of this lap coming up, he would come into the pit lane. So he was pitting too early. There's no way Cody Ware is making it to the end of this race. I was, of course, trying to stretch my fuel to the latest possible lap that I was comfortable with stretching it here now. And actually, I would get into a bit of a battle here with Austin Dillon, but I was with about 2 laps of field left at this point. Austin Dillon pits, Tyler Reddick pits, so the RCR teammates come in with 13 laps to go. Jeff Fabiano actually passes me down into turn 1. He's a lap down, but I got engulfed here by him and Suarez, so Daniel goes around my outside, and I would just really slow it down this lap, and I would come into the pit lane. Suarez is going to do another lap around. Hamlin absolutely takes me to school on the pit entry, but I can tell you right now, pitting this lap right here coming to these final 11, 12 laps or so, we can make it to the end of this race by about 1 lap of field. So Tyler Reddick, who was in the battle for the win of this race, he would pass me right here on the exit of turn 2, but I'm confident he is not going to have enough fuel to finish this race. So we've got an opportunity to get a really, really good finish here. I mean, obviously we were running top 5, top 6 here in this final stage so far the whole way through, so we know we got good speed, but we might be able to get a few extra positions by some drivers not being able to make it. Austin Dillon, Cody Ware, they would actually run me down in these closing 10 laps, and I had absolutely nothing for them. They had each other. They were drafting. Cody Ware over here, he decided to take like some rocket science approach to trying to pass me and lost about half a second at time doing it. So now actually I would settle in behind him, start bump drafting him here down this front stretch, and we would actually plow our way through past that number 3 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet Camaro RCR driver of Austin Dillon there. But 3 Chevrolets all together right here, just basically trying to work together and make it to the end. Cody Ware, like I said, there's no way Cody Ware makes it to the end of this race, so I really wasn't concerned about him. I was concerned about that number 3 of Austin Dillon. I'm pretty confident he could make it to the end of this race, and the only ones that I don't think that can make it is Cody Ware and Tyler Reddick, of course, of the drivers that are at least up here in the top 5 here. Now, as you can see, with 5 laps to go, I was playing it safe on field. I wasn't really racing Austin Dillon. I was settling in behind him, slipstreaming him, bump drafting him, just to make sure I can save a little bit of extra with that draft to be comfortable. And with 3 laps to go, I was comfortable. I knew we were about a lap and a half to 2 laps to the good. So now the fight is on with Austin Dillon in the background. Cody Ware comes into the pit lane. He can't make it to the end of this race. 2 laps remain here in Michigan, down into 1 and 2. Dillon flies back on past me, but I said, hold on, let's have a race. A little bit of a switchback action right here on the exit of turn 2, up the inside of that RCR number 3, Austin Dillon, another driver who's had a miserable season here in this NASCAR iRacing career mode. And here he is right now, having a top 5 run in the closing moments here in Michigan, as we're going to see if Tyler Reddick's going to pit or not. That's the real question here as we exit turn 4, and sure enough, Tyler Reddick into the pit lane on the exit of 4. Austin Dillon, I think, who pitted the same lap, is going to risk it and stay out to the end of this race. White flag in the air. It's Austin Cindric leading the way, battling though with lap traffic. Here comes Justin Haley, who's looking to get his 2nd win of his Cup Series career. Cindric looking for his 1st win as a rookie, just like we are, down into 3 and 4. We've had 1 rookie winner so far, and that was Sheldon Creed at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the controversial race here in this debut season of our career mode in the Cup Series. And out of turn 4, it's going to be a drag race to the line between Haley and Cindric, but it looks like it's going to go in the way of Austin Cindric for Penske Racing. He crosses the line in a photo finish, and it's going to be myself coming up just short to Austin Dillon. And Brandon Jones, where did he come from? He closed in big time on myself and Austin Dillon in these closing moments, but we held on for a 4th place finish. So overall, a good day for our Trackhouse number 1 Traction Camaro here at Michigan, and you could kind of call it my home track, actually, being Canadian and only about 3.5 hours away from the track. Kind of my home track in NASCAR. Watkins Glen about the same distance away. But you see the point standings on your screen. Kyle Busch's point lead is now reduced to just 17 points over Logano, and if, like I said, those two have a couple of bad races, Larson's in the mix, Cindric's in the mix, Bowman, Brandon Jones, and don't even count out myself, who's suddenly turned it up and gotten into the mix a little bit here as well. But in the next one, we head to Phoenix Raceway. That one's going to be a little bit chaotic with the restarts because they can go on the back straightaway, so that's going to be a weird one. But cutting the dog leg as well, who knows what's going to happen there. But if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I will see you guys in the next one for Phoenix Raceway as we continue through the midpoint of this season. Thank you for watching, and have a great day, everybody.